One thing that was really helpful was I think during one of the Haas Center trainings, they were like, make sure you email your supervisor like a week before your first day to sort of ask like what materials you needed, like what if they had any reading for you before, and that really helped me because the one thing they said was like make sure your computer works and like make sure you have it with you, and so I like had time to sort of like get that all together.
And I would say my advice to incoming freshmen about their first summer working after their freshman year is to not to worry so much about what exactly that work is. You'll have a lot of chances to do things that you may consider very prestigious or elite. And I think these summers are really important for deciding what you do and don't want to do. And so if you don't like your fellowship, it's just as valuable as a fellowship that you've really enjoyed because it tells you what you might want to do in the future and what you might not want to do. My second thing is maybe coming into the summer with a set of goals that you want to hold yourself to. I found it really helpful to communicate very rigorously with my supervisors. It's super important to set expectations about what they're looking for from you, how much you expect them to communicate with you.
So before I left to DC to work with my congresswoman, I did a lot of research on her. I wanted to make sure that I was stepping into the office with complete understanding of what the circumstances were. So particularly, I knew that she was working on her bill, Lord, what is it called now? HR 1629, the 911 Saves Act. And so I actually read up quite a bit of detail about what that act was so that when I stepped into the office, I could be prepared. And then within my second week, I was actually tasked with writing a letter to the Sergeant Armed Forces about the extent to which HR 1629 was valuable for first responders. And so that was actually very important because I needed to know that beforehand.
There wasn't a ton of, I think, active preparation that I did aside from like the logistical, booking my flight, getting sure I have some place to live, knowing kind of like if I'm gonna need health insurance or a car or anything like that. I think other than that, it was the mental preparation, knowing that I was going to be alone and across the country from my family, and like really dependent on the relationships that I'd make through work. So I think I prepared myself by being okay with not knowing what my day was going to look like or what my summer was going to look like, and just being kind of ready to go into it maybe a little bit more unprepared if I don't know exactly what I'm going to do.
Well, honestly, I felt like the Haas Center really like prepared us really well, and that being said, I felt still not very prepared because I think I was going to an entirely like new place. Like I wasn't sure of the culture. I was not sure whether whatever we planned to do here would actually be well implemented when I went there. But when I went there, I was glad that I went for like some of the Haas Center courses, like kind of preparing myself logistically, especially in terms of traveling, knowing like the kind of medical preparations that I had to do, and then with that I went there and it was a really great experience. Yeah.
The first thing I did to prepare was to buy dress clothes. I didn't have the attire to work in a business casual environment all the time. But I did a lot of just kind of reading about the situation, the housing situation in New York. I had never really been to New York, so just kind of exploring what the neighborhoods were and what the situation was there, and trying to be, at least a little bit informed coming in.
So for Cardinal Quarter, I think be prepared that you might start off with a good intention of helping a certain community, but you have to be very aware of like a lot of the nuances that are involved when you infiltrate a new community, like things like whatever you're doing, is it something that the community really needs? Things like, is there a long-term like solution once you have entered the community and done whatever you need to do? That means like once you leave and you come back to Stanford, will whatever you do have a long-term impact? And I think these are some of the questions that you should really think of before you embark on a Cardinal Quarter experience, because you really learn a lot more than what you expect out of that 9 weeks spent doing that. And more often than not, it benefits you more than the community at hand. So it's good to bear in mind, like put yourselves in the community shoes and see what they might feel and what they might think. Yeah.
Yes. I think going in with an open mind is incredibly important, and also realizing that if this is your first internship opportunity, this may be incredible and set the bar super high for all the rest of the work that you do, but I would be careful not to generalize in thinking about how all internship experiences may be. I actually spent my freshman summer not through Cardinal Quarter. I was working in private consulting, and it made my Cardinal Quarter experience even more of a shock because I realized how I had generalized my experience my first summer to assume that all internships sort of followed a similar pattern and were similar in ways that they simply aren't. And so I would keep an open mind and just be cognizant of the fact that your experience is not like the singular experience of public service work, for better or for worse. That's just